Hello everyone, welcome to our first collaborative interview presented by EducationUSA Mongolia and American Council for International Education in Mongolia. We are thrilled to bring this interview to you through our EducationUSA Mongolia's social media pages. So allow me to introduce our distinguished guest, Mr. Sem Potolicchio. So Mr. Sem Potolicchio was named one of America's best professors by the Princeton Review, and also he is the founding executive director of American Council for International Education Center for Global Leadership, and he is a professor at Georgetown University. I have also studied Georgetown University, and also he is a visiting lecturer at University of Bologna in Italy. So welcome to Mongolia, welcome to EducationUSA Mongolia, also American Council for International Education in Mongolia's office. Thank you so much for coming to Mongolia and accepting our invitation. So my first question is how to be competitive in the college application. In this interview, I'd like to talk more about college application process. So what do you think?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a stressful time to think about applying to university. And my number one piece of advice is to try to reframe this stress actually as an opportunity for you to learn more about yourself, for you to have conversations with your parents and learn more about how they think about things, and to really explore what it is that you're interested in and how it is that you're going to want to spend this one precious life, right? And discerning your vocation and what you want to specialize in. And so in order to be competitive and also be effective at your interview, you need to ask yourself this question, which is, how can I contribute to this college? How can I make this community a better community? What are the experiences in my life and what are my aspirations and ambitions that can help do that? And for the interview, one of the things I'd suggest is to do some research about the person that is going to be interviewing you. So if you get to know their background, their experiences, what they've chosen to focus on in their career, that can help guide you to ask them questions about how that college contributed to their life. You know, I think that's the Einstein quotation, that it's better to be a learner than a knower. And one of the things that the college admissions committee is going to be looking for is how curious you are. And so if you're asking your interviewer questions about her own experience at that college, she's then going to indicate to the admissions committee that you're a curious person.
Thank you for sharing Einstein's quotation, right? So I'd like to ask more about personal statement, because from my point of view, personal statement is very crucial for students. So what advice would you give on writing a personal statement or essay?
Two quick pieces of advice. Number one, you need to know about the college. You really want to customize specifically to how you are a fit at that university, right? And how can that university contribute to your own trajectory? Because you want to think about this process of writing your personal statement as a moment of discovery of who you are, right? So if you're treating this entire college process of an opportunity to figure out what it is that you want from these 4 years, researching the universities that you're applying to is going to help you do that. The second piece of advice I have is to get as specific as you possibly can about your experiences. So sometimes I tell my students, you know, make me sense it, right? Make me smell it, make me feel it, right? Transport me into that situation. And so oftentimes it's less important for what you choose topically to talk about. And it's more important to focus on the details that then represent who you are and what you want the admission committee to know about you.
Thank you. My next question will lead to freshman year. We all were freshman students. So what is your advice to freshman students?
Here's a non-traditional piece of advice. Most of the professors that you will have in your university experience have written a PhD dissertation. Read the PhD dissertation or books that they've written if they've written books, but read their research before you take their classes. That's going to give you a sense of what they're interested in, but that's also going to help you be a more effective contributor to that classroom when you get a sense of the background and the focus of the professor. Second piece of advice for freshmen is to sign up for a class that you would not take unless you were forced to do an exam or to do homework. So for instance, if I have no native interest in mathematics, I want to take a class in mathematics because this might be the last time through the draw of exams that you can study something in depth, and you're not necessarily going to do that after you graduate from the university.
Thank you for your valuable advice. And as you mentioned before, you had a gap year. So what is your point of view about gap year? How do students should spend their gap year more effectively?
I'm biased. So I was interning over the summer for a United States senator. And surprisingly, he was chosen. I didn't expect this. He was chosen to be the vice presidential nominee of the United States of America for one of the political parties. And I had no real interest in studying politics when I was going to go to university, but I got so enthralled in this presidential election, and this was a contested election, and we didn't know who won the election for a full month afterwards, really the first time in US history. And because I liked that experience so much, I just got addicted to politics. And then that influenced not just what I wanted to study at university, but the specific university that I would go to. Then I knew I wanted to be in Washington, D.C., and be the nation's capital, the IMF, the World Bank, the embassies. And so I think a gap year just gives you extra time to really decide what it is that you want to study when you're in university. And I think it's actually a competitive advantage. And I thought when I came in, I had a bit more focus than some of my classmates.
So thank you. I'd like to go back to your university years. So my next question is, who is your favorite teacher or mentor and why? Could you please tell us about your unforgettable, memorable student time memories? If possible, you have studied Georgetown University and also Harvard, right? So could you please share about us?
One piece of advice I have on this topic is to pick more on the professor and the mentor than on the class title, because it's really the individuals that can animate your curiosity and can get you excited about something. I had so many fantastic professors. I think it's a sin for me even to just pick one, but I'm going to pick Father Raymond Kemp. Didn't have a PhD, priest, didn't have much interest in religion, but because of his life's story, because of his integrity, because of his desire to uplift other people, I started to pay more attention to religion. Took a class called Struggle and Transcendence, and then I took a couple more classes on religion while I was an undergraduate, and then I ended up studying theology. So I had no topical interest. I had just been recommended to take this professor because of who he was as a person, and ended up inspiring my academic interest. And so the takeaway from my own personal story is really to think about who are those figures that you're going to spend 36 hours in the classroom with that are going to be inspiring, more so than the topic. You're going to want to focus on the professor.
For me, it's very interesting stories, so thank you for sharing. And I'd like to ask, how do you see what 3 important things students should focus on during their undergraduate programs, also graduate programs?
Number 1, friends, but people that are unlike you. So this is going to be an opportunity where you're going to be in close quarters with students from all over the world, students from almost every state in the United States, from so many different backgrounds. The diversity is almost impossible to articulate in many of these college experiences in the United States. And so seek out those that are unlike people that you've ever met. Number 2, office hours. You have a unique opportunity where a professor, arguably the person that might know more about that topic than anybody else in the country, is going to sit in her office for an hour every week, and anybody can drop by and talk to her. Take advantage of really getting to know your professors outside of the classroom. And number 3, have fun just sampling different academic topics, right? I think one of the benefits of the US university system is the liberal arts orientation to it. So when I was a psychology major, I only took 10 of my 40 classes in psychology. The other 30 classes were in other subjects. And I think you should try to study subjects that you normally wouldn't have the natural curiosity to study, because you never know. You meet that inspiring professor like I did, and you go from studying psychology to studying religion just because of a couple hours with somebody who you really look up to.
So first one is make friends. Second one is go to your office hours. And third one is be happy and make fun and make memory, right? Make student time memories. So my last question is, what are your recommended tips for studying smarter?
Cal Newport, who's a professor at Georgetown University and has also carved out a career writing some impressive best-selling books. He told me, buy a really expensive notebook. Right? You have a notebook that you've invested in, and you're going to take it with you to different places, and you're going to jot down observations that you have, but it also focuses your attention, so that if you have a notebook with you at all times, even stray comments that you think might not be so impactful might be what transforms your life. Number 2, try to study in many different places, because oftentimes it could be a jacket that dislodges a memory for you from your studying. It could be the color of the wood. And the more places that you're reading the material, the more likely you are to have these retrieval cues if you've studied in different rooms and in different places. And number 3, try to make sure that you think about retrieval instead of just simply reading information. And one of the ways that you can do this is to teach other people the material. You really will start to master the material when you are forced to simplify it and you're forced to teach somebody else that might not be taking the class.
Thank you, and sharing is caring, right? So here is the end of our first collaborative interview presented by EducationUSA Mongolia and the American consuls. Thank you for your precious time, and thank you so much for your valuable and informative advice. Wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thanks.